Hello lovely dancers, my name is Aisha and welcome back to Belly Dance Tutorials. In this class I'm gonna do a lecture about the term of belly dance and various styles of belly dancing, at least that we have here in the United States. This topic was suggested to me by one of my international viewers. She was curious to know more about various styles of belly dancing that I'm referring to in these online classes, and rightfully so, because there is no one style of belly dancing on one type. There are a mix of styles, there are various styles, and sometimes we blend them, sometimes we make them more distinct. So I think it's a good idea to clarify a little bit the terminology around it and the styling around belly dancing. And this is from my experience, from my training, from the teachers that I have. So it's not comprehensive. It doesn't address maybe all the situations. So it's through my experience. If you have things to add to that, or your own experience or your own knowledge, please write them down in the comments box, and we can all learn from your experience as well, and make it more general. So let's get going, and I'm gonna go over some of these concepts. Now, the name of belly dance, the real name of this style of dance is raqs sharqi, and probably we should start using this name more often by the real name, and I will explain the terminology. So raqs means dance in the Arabic language. And they used this name for their dance for a long time. But after a while, long time ago though, the Western styles, the Western dance start to come to the Middle East, like ballet, ballroom dance, Latin dance, and all this kind of Western dancing. And they wanted to make a distinction between their original local dance, raqs, and this Western dance, which was very different than what they had. So they called it sharqi, which means from the East. So it doesn't mean belly by any means, right? So raqs sharqi means dance from the East, to make it, a distinct name for their regional dance that we actually do and call it belly dance. So let's try to use this more often in our conversations and make this term more popular to the general public, the same as other dance styles have retained their original name. For instance, flamenco, we don't call it Spanish dance, or bachata, we don't call it Brazilian dance or whatever. So let's think about it, and let's take some action here, okay? All right, now regarding the styles of belly dancing that at least we have here in the United States, the three major styles are Oriental, Fusion, and Tribal. And let's talk about each of them. Now, Oriental style is what we usually know about belly dancing referring to, which is the Middle Eastern style or Arabic style. Oriental style is just an umbrella of everything that comes from the Middle East. It can be more regional, like Egyptian style or Lebanese or Turkish. It can be folkloric style from that area. So it's a very broad and comprehensive terminology. And it also means that it's different than fusion or tribal. So it's not those styles, it's the Arabic style. Now, the Oriental style has this like subgenres, if I can call them this way, because every country made it their own. Every country made belly dance their own dance, and they made adjustment changes based on local music, local culture, local dance vocabulary and movements. So sometimes we call a certain style Lebanese style, or Turkish style, or Egyptian style, or I don't know if there are others, just to the referring to the general belly dancing styles, and not going into folkloric style, which is a whole different discussion. So there are subtle differences between them, and only probably a trained eye or a trained dancer can make the difference, and can maybe style their dance accordingly depending on their audience or venue or preferences or music or whatever. There are a lot of commonalities between them, but also subtle differences. And sometimes we as foreign dancers, we kind of use a blend of all these like country, regional styles. And also we made it our own. If you go to Spain, I've been to Spain, or to other countries, or here to America, you will see slight differences from the original, I don't know, belly dance style or Middle Eastern style, because you have to relate to your public, to your audience, and everybody try to make it more relevant to their audience. So they use certain types of music, certain types of moves, even though it's within the same general Oriental style. There are small differences. And for instance, one example that I can give you is the Lebanese cane dance, Lebanese style with a cane, which has nothing to do with the Saidi dance. It's not Saidi, not that kind of music, not that kind of moves, but they still use a cane in their specific way. So yeah, so here is an example of a regional difference. So what I do here is Oriental style, this broad category of Arabic dancing, Arabic styling, or Middle Eastern styling. And what I perform is also Oriental. Now, let's see, I have here some notes here. Yeah, maybe I'll go a little later about some nuances of the raqs sharqi term that I learned in Egypt. If I have time, maybe later I'll go over that because it's pretty detailed. So this video is for both the American viewers and the international viewers. So I hope that everybody will get something out of it. Here in America, people have developed a style that we call American cabaret style, which is a mix of various regional Middle Eastern styles, and is based mostly on Turkish styling. Because long time ago, years ago in the 60s and 70s, when belly dance came to America, it came through dancers from Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, and other countries, and not necessarily from Egypt. And local dancers learned from them, from various other Middle Eastern dancers, and they created this blend style of a little bit of everything, and we call it American cabaret. In American cabaret style, the dancers use finger cymbals or zills a lot. They are very skilled in using them, and props such as veil a lot, and other props, fan veils, canes and all other things. And also the music that they use here came from various regions, from Middle East and other countries like Greece or Azerbaijan, some of these Asian countries, because that's where the musicians came from, and they danced to whatever they played. Now, the fusion style, this is a very broad concept. It can go from resembling the Middle Eastern style very closely to being very far from that, like contemporary dance. And it can be blended with other styles of dancing, like samba, ballroom dance, like hula or salsa or Bollywood. Yeah, so it's a mix of belly dance movements and other specific genre that has nothing to do with the Middle Eastern area. And the music is also accordingly. It can be slightly Middle Eastern, or it can be a regular Western song, but with some Middle Eastern influences. A very typical one could be The Desert Rose by Sting, or Misirlou. There were several variations here in the Western world of Misirlou. So yeah, the music can be slightly Middle Eastern or Turkish, but it can be mixed with Bollywood elements, with flamenco elements. And there are musicians who are actually doing blended styles like Middle Eastern and flamenco. And they sound very good, actually. And it can go all the way to using Western pop music, European pop music, or any kind of rock music or whatever. So this is a little tricky when you perform what's called belly dancing, but it's not what we normally or usually understand by belly dancing. It's a good idea to just call it fusion. You can call it fusion belly dance or fusion dance. So yeah, I think that's the right way to do that. Even Russian dancers, which I do love their technique and how they present, but a lot of time it's mixed with ballroom dance or classical dance or contemporary dance, and it's not quite close, but no cigar, not quite Arabic. So they changed the styling. Their technique is very good, but if you look closely, it's really mixed a lot with I don't know, contemporary and classical dance. So sometimes I would call it a fusion dance, even though it looks and the music is Arabic. But some of them are really good at doing it in Egyptian styling, or the typical Arabic styling. So that's the fusion style. Also, costuming is can be very different. It can go from like regular bedla, Middle Eastern Arabic type of costuming to really modern outfits. Yeah, so that's fusion. It's very popular here in America, I could say. And let's move on to the tribal style. There are two main branches of the tribal style that I know of in the United States, which is American tribal style and improvisational tribal style. I have not studied this style, so I'm not very knowledgeable about them. But I could say that both, I think, came from the western coast of the United States. They have been developed there probably in the 70s, 80s, I think. And American tribal style is very prescribed. So there are combinations that people learn and then they put them together. The costuming and makeup and everything, it's a blend of tribal elements from all over the world, not just Middle Eastern, but sometimes Indian elements, flamenco elements, and so on. So it's also a blend of various styles. It became very popular here in America because it's prescribed and it's people learn combinations and it's easy to dance in a group. So it creates a very social environment and people appreciate that. And also the music used is probably, it has some Middle Eastern or Balkanic touch, but it's not typical Arabic music. Now improvisational tribal style is kind of similar, but it's not like generally prescribed. Each group creates their own combinations, and each group creates maybe choreographies using elements from the tribal styling. And it can be improvisational completely, or it can be more choreographed, but it's not based on the same prescribed combinations that exist in the tribal styling. So I hope that this makes any sense. And you will be, it'll be very easy to recognize the style from the costuming, the large skirts, some accessories, the hair, and then hair pieces. It's not glitzy, it's more earthy. And yeah, so that's one specific style that we have here in the United States. And now I've seen it in other countries, so it gains popularity in other countries as well. It's still under the umbrella of belly dance. Yeah, but I don't know. It's not the same as Oriental belly dance. So that's why I'm saying that we should probably call what we know, what we understand by Oriental belly dance, we should be calling it raqs, just to differentiate it from the other styles, and to bring justice to what this dance is about and the real name of the dance. So let's see if I had other things here. Yeah, sometimes. So what I teach and what I do is not a pure Egyptian style or pure whatever Arabic style. I know that I use sometimes classical dance elements. I call it dancey. So sometimes in my explanations I call a movement a more dancey one, and for me that means it's more Western type of dance, like from classical dance or contemporary dance. It's more technical, and it's more like well defined, and yeah, it's technical in the sense of contemporary or classical dance. I don't know, ballet or some things like that. So it's not necessarily a typical Egyptian movement. But the belly dance as we know it is evolving. I can see that in the past 10 years how much it has changed and how much it evolved, and that's true for any dance style. I've seen a video, a discussion about this topic in ballet, how ballet is becoming more technical, and the same thing in belly dance. I think it's becoming more technical and more oriented toward the classical dance and Western elements of dance. It's natural to evolve. Any dance style will evolve sooner or later, more or less. We just have to pick the right things to promote and go with the flow. And we have to adapt too. And our audience, our public, is actually changing and evolving. So we have to meet the public expectations as well, while keeping the core of the dance true and original. So let's see other things. Yeah, maybe I'll talk a little bit here about the concept of raqs, a very nuanced definition that I learned in Egypt from some of the Egyptian teachers. So this might not be shared by all Egyptian teachers or dancers, but for me it made sense. So they call raqs anything that's not in a specific style of melody, folklore, shabi, mejase, and maybe others, I don't know. So if they name, for instance, a ballet styling, they call it ballet, or they call it a drum, so they call it shabi. But when it's neither of these, but it's still Oriental, right? It's raqs, and it's what people mostly dance to. So if I play any typical belly dance song, I did recently Tabwana Mali, for instance, Lamara, El Sabre Minu. These are typical Oriental songs that we dance to, and this is what those teachers called actually raqs. So it's a more narrow definition in a way. It's the same like here, if you go to a club to dance, you go to dance, right? I'm gonna go out dancing. and people understand that it's usually club dancing and it's pop dancing, hip hop or whatever. So that will be the rock sharqi definition. But if you want to do country style or country dancing, or if you want to do salsa dancing, you would call that, I'm gonna go to line dancing, which is country dancing here, or I'm gonna go do salsa. So those are specific types of dance, and this will be similar to calling it a ballady or folklore style or things like that. So yeah, that was kind of interesting to learn this perspective, and I think it clarifies some of the things about terminology in my mind. I just wanted to share this with you guys. So yeah, I think that covered the topic more or less. There is obviously more to say about that. I don't want to go into a lot of details, just a very general overview. I hope it makes some sense and it clarifies some of your questions and concepts. And I'll be back with dancing, with more dance movements and more combinations and the real type of dancing shortly in a week or so. But for today, I just wanted to do this lecture about the terminology and different styles of belly dancing for all of you guys. So it will make more sense and will be more clear to you what I'm referring to and what I'm doing in these tutorials. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you have comments, please write them down in the comments box area and contribute to the general discussion and general knowledge if you have something to say about it. If not, I'll just see you next time, and thank you so much for watching. Shimmy shimmy.